All right, 5 o'clock, 5:01 actually. We're going to go ahead and get started. First off, I'm going to go ahead and tell you I apologize for the mistake on the questions for this week. And what I'm going to do is bring that up and show you on the screen here. You should see the screen now. For the week 3 forum, those questions have been posted, and I am now unlocking the Moodle. Hopefully this will turn up on your screen. Yeah, there we go. All right, so what you can see here is, first off, this is 10 September 2019. This is LDR 360, Management Leadership Through Innovation. Week 3, everybody's doing a good job. Hang in there with it. The discussion questions were the wrong file. I take ownership and responsibility for that. I apologize. The changes have been made. Shouldn't be a major issue for you. If you'd already answered the one question that I've taken off for this week, don't worry, that question is you're going to see next week. So you're a little ahead. The questions this week, and number 1 is explain how an organization can build a customer value focused strategy. If you go into your text, you will see how to do that. These questions, each question, there are 2. If we have 2 chapters that week, you're going to see one question from each chapter. In this particular case, you have chapters 4 and 5 to read. So customer value focused strategy, and I'm holding up your text, you're generally going to find in chapter 4, because that is how to build an innovative and entrepreneurial organization, all about customers. Chapter 5 is developing innovation and entrepreneurship of both individuals and teams. That is a great chapter. You got some good stuff here in both. In the aspect of building an innovative and entrepreneurial organization, you'll see that being competitive is very different than achieving substantial or achieving sustainable customer or competitive advantage. The idea of achieving competitive advantage is to be a core part of the strategy and instill, again, competitive advantage is that which sets your company apart from others. That's what keeps you in business, all right? And it gives you some highlights on how to do it. Competitive advantage requires adapting to environmental changes, being customer driven, ... And so I ask you how you can build a customer value focused strategy. And if you look on page 75, you're going to see some discussion on that. And then page 78 to 80 is going to give you some more. The most effective way to think about innovation is to evaluate the customer and their needs, wants, and expectations near and in the next 5 years. Remember, LDR 300 talked to you about developing vision. That is the realm of you, the leader. And vision should look 3 to 5 years out. There's that 3 to 5 rule again. All right, we don't need our top leaders in the here and now exclusively. That's the realm of the manager, okay? What we need is the leaders, and the reason we pay these leaders a lot, particular CEOs, is to be able to forecast correctly and position the company organization correctly on what the customer needs, not just now, but 3 to 5 years from now. And that is a very difficult challenge that not many are up for. All right, so again, my apologies for this, and I will send this out as an email, noting that the changes have been made. And I appreciate again everybody's patience and understanding. I know that's probably not the thing you want to hear, and but again, I ask everybody's understanding. So right now, I am writing that email. I will title it "Corrected Week Number 3 Discussion Forum Questions," and put in here, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your patience and understanding. Week 3 assignment and have been posted. And then let me know if there are any questions. As always, I sign off Semper Fi. And we are in there. All right. So I don't see anybody joining, which is fine. Again, this isn't mandatory. With that, it would help for some of you to at least inquire and ask. But again, I understand, your time is valuable, and there isn't always a lot of that time. Okay, correcting some email here. And let's take a look here at a few things. Okay, so one of the things to look at is just because you're unique doesn't necessarily mean you're useful. Pretty good stuff. Good means. Okay, so in there, somewhere I got this. Not quite right either. Oh, no, it is. Okay. So your studies are 2.5 points per week. And within that, again, it comes into a few things. Trend-wise, on your scenario studies, make sure that you cover the text, okay? So what is happening here is these are marked requirements. These are our ability to see if you're mastering the course objectives. And fundamental to the course objectives is the information in the text. So when you do your scenario studies, glean out from your readings some main points concerning innovation, some things that jumped out at you. All right, I'm not going to grade you wrong or down on a wrong main point or a main point I might not have picked up. That main point is up to you. What I want you to do is just pick one or 3 to 5, depending on what we're going to do for the answer wise, and then run with it. So that demonstrates to me that you've read the text and that you can apply the principle into the case study. Okay, and if you can't, if all else fails, and you want to use an innovation main point that you read in chapter 2 from last week, then go for it. Okay, as long as it's in the text and it's an innovation point, I want you to use it. How the material is applicable to your career or your future career objectives. Okay, so last week we had a study on Facebook. A couple of you indicated to me how Facebook would be applicable to your future career. It's not Facebook, it's the material that we're covering, the innovation points, okay? And then an evaluation. Remember, you did an evaluation in LDR 340. Don't forget that text. And that evaluation of success and non-successful gets down to making sure you select certain criteria that you think is applicable to that particular case, okay? Hopefully that criteria you're picking follows innovation, entrepreneurship, or basic leadership, okay? Because that's what these classes are about. Finally, bring the case study current. In other words, bring it up to date. Where is the company today? You can specifically talk about positive or negative concerning innovation. You have the benefit now of 2020 hindsight. These certain case studies that we have are a few years old. So they're going to talk about what the company is innovating with 3 to 5 years ago. Well, now, okay, you got the benefit of those 3 to 5 years. How did that innovation turn out? And then B, offer an brief environmental analysis. Okay, when we talk about environmental analysis, not talking about whether the company is green or woke in the sense of environmental climate change and the like. All right, what we're talking about is SWOT, okay, strength, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Okay, remember, every company organization is going to want to maintain its strengths. It's going to want to fix its weaknesses. That is an internal look, and it is an internal aspect. At the same time, externally, they're going to look at opportunities and threats. They're going to capitalize on those opportunities, and they're going to defend against threats. Who are the threats? Well, these could be threats such as competition. These could be threats in the realm of regulatory or even legislative restrictions, and it could be any number of things. Threats can be economic downturns. Threats can be companies entering the market and undercutting. Threats can be disruptions in the supply chain. Threats can be even change in work habits. Maybe our workers now are less prone to working overtime, or whatever it could be. All right, just again, it's to get you to think through and offer a position and then support that position. Okay. Your final paper in there, last week and this week, I've asked you for your organization that you're going to write your paper on. It's either your company or organization. For those of you that had me for LDR 340 or had LDR 340, if you want to use the same company organization you wrote that paper on and pull it forward to this class, that's fine. The paper can't be the same, obviously, but since you've already done research, that may help you here. And for those of you who haven't had LDR 340 or haven't had me, then you need to pick an organization that you can write about. All right. And in that aspect, the paper is going to discuss the importance of innovation. Okay. Instead of doing very bland, broad organizations, what I want you to do is pick a company, an organization, all right, define innovation, explain the importance for it, and then talk about the importance of leadership in organizations relative to innovation, and then conclude it out. You should have a position statement. Okay, a position statement is your thesis statements where you take a stand. All right, this company is or is not innovative. The leadership of this company is or is not effective because ... All right, you're taking a stand. Your paper could say this company is highly innovative because, and then lay out your 3 to 5 reasons, your evidence for remembering the fundamental relationship. The one that matters the most is your conclusion and then the evidence you use to support that conclusion. All right? If you don't have a position statement, what happens is it makes it very difficult to write the paper. You tend to maneuver left and right instead of going a straight line. And there's a author that I read when I was a young man by the name of Louis L'Amour. Louis L'Amour wrote hundreds of Westerns and other books. And in one of his books, he combined 2 words into the title. It was very creative. The 2 words were yonder, okay, which means an objective somewhere out in the distance, and wandering, meaning to not take a direct path, but kind of serpentine or, go either or. Anyway, yonder and wandering, he combined, and the title of his book became Yondering. So kind of meandering on to a future objective somewhere. All right. Without a position statement, you run the risk of yondering. You're heading somewhere, but we're not really sure where you're heading. Up front, you tell your reader, this company is or is not innovative. The leadership of this company is or is not effective. In other words, you're taking a stand and then you're going to use 3 to 5 concepts, okay, again, from your text, and write your paper, okay? All right, should not be any questions on that. This should be very basic. And again, you've already done it in LDR 340. If there are, again, call or email me. Okay, so chapter 4 begins with an overview of the environment. We certainly do see rapid technological change, increased global competition, customers demanding more choices, options, product life cycles are shorter. All these things create a very dynamic environment and result in organizations that have to be flexible and adaptable. And then we get into, again, the concept that you learned in LDR 300 of contingency. In other words, depends on the situation. Every situation is different. There's no universal strategy that can be applied. You have to evaluate your own circumstances and develop your own sustainable competitive advantage. Competitive advantage is unique to your organization. It is consistent within your organization. It is difficult to copy outside of your organization. All right. In there, the strategy as defined in the text is a relationship or fit between the organization and its environment. There are 2 points to be made here. One is that to be customer focused is to meet or exceed the unmet needs of current and potential customers. In other words, there has to be a reason the customer wants your product. And you also have to be able to evaluate the resources and core competency in terms of how they can be utilized to create new sources of value. In other words, you can't keep just doing the same thing because then you're going to lose competitive advantage. People are going to keep up or going to catch up to you. So you have to be continually innovating on your already innovative processes. And so page 69 tells you there are 6 things that are implied in achieving sustainable competitive advantage. And those are listed here on the slide. All right. Then what we're talking about here is how you're going to go ahead and integrate innovation and entrepreneurship into that strategy. And again, we're looking at behaviors that develop within the organization and then move us to value creation and sustained competitive advantage. Make sure you look at the core dimensions there in figure 4.1 on page 71. All right, how do you do a strategic analysis? How do you choose for value creation competitives? What do we mean when we talk about implementation for wealth creation and sustained competitive advantage? And again, all of these are here on the slide and in your text. When we pull back the layer, okay, and we talk about what is considered command and control, and this is a very popular subject within the military, we understand, and this is the figure I show you is from a military text, but it applies in any organization, is the ability to continuously rethink and make adjustments to the organization's strategy, structure, systems, culture. In other words, the CEO is going to command and control his organization. Now, on the left-hand side, you see both arrows going down, and that is a typical view. People think command and control, meaning I put my thumb on you and I micromanage you. That is not, even in the military, what is meant by control. Control, in the correct viewpoint, is in the right-hand side of the slide, is that commander, the CEO, exercises command and then gets reciprocal influence based on what you, the subordinate, are doing, and that control, which is in effect feedback, he can then continue to exercise command. In other words, I give you the strategy, I give you the goal, we start to execute the plan, and then based on your feedback, hey, this is working, this isn't working, and we need to change that. This may not be the exact scenario you want, then we'll make adjustments. And that's what we're talking about. All right. In order to do this, you have to have what's known as a learning organization. Okay, a learning organization is an organization that understands mistakes, can look at lessons learned, sees what happened, and then corrects it. That is an ability to conduct autopsies without blame. In other words, we need to lead with questions, not answers. We engage in debate and dialogue, not coercion. We don't blame people, and then we build in red flag mechanisms. In other words, warning signs. Okay? In other words, we create the environment that allows creativity, innovation, and people that want to work there. All right, so from chapter 4, you had 3 to 5 key pullaways. The ones that I pull out are the key success factors that define corporate performance in the 21st century: continuous innovation, entrepreneurial activity, and the ability to bring about positive change. Top management support that understands organizational structures, systems, culture, and within the framework, the most effective way to think about innovation is to evaluate the customer and their needs, wants, and expectations. Okay, and I apologize for the slide. I already see 2 mistakes, and I'm not sure what happened there. All right, so then we move on to chapter 5, developing innovation, entrepreneurship, and individuals and teams. Okay, we want to understand that our competitive advantage in most every organization, if not every organization, are our people. Okay, so if we're not investing in our people, then we're doing a disservice and we're really cutting our nose to spite our face. Okay, in order to develop innovation and entrepreneurship through people, we require 3 to 5 things, and those are on page 89. Okay. All right. Again, make sure you understand the difference between entrepreneurship and marketing. Okay, marketing is focused on identifying and understanding the market aspects of the opportunities in the customer. All right. Entrepreneurship is finding answers to customer needs through innovations which increase efficiency, effectiveness. That's why we can talk about a government entity having entrepreneurship. It doesn't necessarily have to be a product. Imagine a state that understands an innovation that can increase the efficiency and effectiveness of their Department of Motor Vehicles. Okay, instead of sitting for hours to get your driver's license, has developed a new process. Okay, think back to when you got your license and see how that has changed since now your kids are getting theirs. I would grant you it probably hasn't changed a whole lot. Why would that be? Okay. And then understand that market orientation, again, has to come around to creating customer value. All right. The linkage between the two is learning. Okay. And there's two focuses that your text talks about. Emphasis on information generation and dissemination. In other words, how we acquire knowledge. And then emphasis on a shared mental model. We all see the vision. We all take an open approach to get us to our organization. We're all on the same sheet of music, to use the metaphor. So take a heavy look, a hard look at the analysis, pages 97 through 100, because it gives you some critical questions. And this is just tremendous. I've summed this all up in one slide for you. We want to think about 5 things. We want to assess 8 areas. We want to interpret 8 insights. We want to look at 6 bridges and gaps. Okay? Gaps being things that there's a want or a desire and there isn't anything that meets it. Okay? All right, and that wraps up that particular chapter. And then the key pullaways, 3 to 5 of them, are that the types of people we have in the innovation process and how they're organized has a significant impact on the organization's performance, not just innovation, but overall, and its ability to be competitive, have competitive advantage. I've shared with many of you and all of you my organizational success slide, okay, the 7 keys, all right, the 3 who's and the 4 how's. Who do we recruit or who do we hire? Who do we promote? Who do we make senior leadership? How do we train? How do we organize? How do we equip? And how do we execute our mission? Get any of those wrong, we're going to have a problem. Get more than 2 wrong, and organization is going to self-destruct. What distinguishes innovative entrepreneurial individuals and teams from those that are not is the ability to identify opportunities with the help of boundary spanning. Okay, boundary spanning is those people that are able to network. Those people in our organization that can connect out into other networks and identify for us environmental information that we can make our decision and help us in better decision making. We also find for decades that cost and price has been significant influences on introducing new products. And there continues to be that issue. That's why open innovation is so important, and that's why I highlighted it to you as part of one of your questions. Okay? All right. And then opportunities for innovation and entrepreneurial activity. Well, anyway, getting back to that question of open innovation now from last week. Okay. Opportunities for innovation, entrepreneurial activity must always be market-oriented and customer-focused. Again, whether we're a for-profit business, a nonprofit charity, or a nonprofit government organization, if we aren't giving the customer what he or she needs, then we shouldn't even be in business. Okay? Again, a nonprofit has to bring in more revenue than it is spending. Okay, that's just the law of nature. All right. All right, so that was a quick turn of slides because, again, this is an online course, not directed to be lecture format. What I want you to do is take a hard look at the readings and then make sure that you understand what they're driving at. And then I also encourage you to, I'm going to send you an article. The 3-point seatbelt turns 60 and it's a damn hero. And the reason I'm going to send you this article is it's a great example of open innovation. Okay? And what you'll find in this article is that Volvo, this gentleman right here, Niles Boland, developed the 3-point seatbelt really back in the 50s at a time when many people weren't putting seatbelts in vehicles. And this is a really good article that I recommend you take a few minutes to read. Okay? All right, I'm clearing out all the screenshots here. Let me post that article. I'll post it in the announcements. We'll title that article mentioned in week 3 Zoom session. And we call it a superb example of open innovation. I'll call this simply supplemental. For your information / situational awareness. All right, and then let's see if we can't get that article loaded up. Bear with me just another minute. We'll adjust our display period so you can look back. All right, again, I didn't see anybody join in, so I'm assuming everybody's doing okay. I appreciate, again, everybody's patience and understanding. Don't forget, identify to me the company organization by name that you're going to write on. Okay, I asked that you do that in the weekly post, but we didn't quite get there. And again, that is my fault because I uploaded the wrong file. So no hit on you. That's all on me. But I still need to know so that I can get that a firm understanding what everybody's going to write on. All right, this is the YouTube channel. This is where our Zoom meetings will upload. For some reason, YouTube is still processing last week's. So hopefully I've had some better, I'll have some better luck on that. And with that, there's only about 4 more minutes. This one went pretty fast. So how about we end it, give you a fun, how about we give you a fun video? Sound good? So let's see what we can come up with. Yeah, here we go.
A very close call. Could have gone either way. It was.
All right, hold on here a second. Let's start it from the beginning. And make sure we're sharing it so you can see it. There we go.
A very close call. Could have gone either way. It was right on the line.
Well, Ferguson's not too happy with it, I can tell you that much.
He's beating him like a rented mule.
And the ref's just tuning him out.
Boy, where do you train to take a beating like that?
He said, when's that porch gonna get painted? And that litter box! It's been 3 weeks! 3 weeks! And you think I could have married Don Hoffman? And it wouldn't hurt for you to say that you love me once in a while?
It's a classic. All right, I'll keep this running for a couple more minutes. And again, hope everybody's doing well. You certainly are from my perspective. And I certainly wish everybody the best of luck over the next coming few weeks. And I hope everybody made it through the storm without any significant damage. We took a little bit of siding, but nothing compared to last year, which I think we all were very thankful and pleased. All right.